Eastern Ghouta cut into a Syrian army seizes ground. Syrian government forces have seized vast swathes of territory from rebels in the opposition-held suburbs of Damascus, effectively dividing the besieged enclave of Eastern Ghouta in two and further squeezing rebels and the tens of thousands of civilians trapped inside. The government, determined to wrest the suburbs from the control of rebels after 7 years of war, has resorted to extreme levels of shelling and bombardment to clear the way for its troops to advance on the ground. The campaign has so far left at least 800 civilians dead. The state-affiliated al-Ikhbariya TV station on Wednesday broadcast live shots from the region, showing dense columns of smoke rising above the town as explosions and rockets could be heard flying overhead. Syrian state media said troops took control of the town of Beit Sawa and most of Misraba, both rebel-held communities in the heart of the enclave. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said that by nightfall Syrian government troops and allied militias had seized half of the territory held by rebels in eastern Ghouta and split the enclave in two halves, a north and southern part. By slicing the territory, the Syrian government succeeds in severing supply routes and squeezing further the rebels inside. Dramatic videos released by the opposition's Syrian Civil Defense on Wednesday showed rescuers digging away rubble to rescue a dust-covered little boy and a baby girl in the town of Arbin. The British-based observatory, which monitors the war through a network of activists on the ground, said 40 people were killed in the bombardment on Wednesday. In Geneva, UN Human Rights Chief Stroud al-Hussein denounced what he said were attempts by Syria's government to justify indiscriminate, brutal attacks on hundreds of thousands of civilians by the need to combat a few hundred fighters in eastern Ghouta, calling it legally and morally unsustainable. When you are prepared to kill your own people, lying is easy too. Claims by the government of Syria that it is taking every measure to protect its civilian population are frankly ridiculous, he said. Aid workers who entered eastern Ghouta briefly on Monday said some residents hadn't seen sunlight for 2 weeks because they were sheltering underground. The observatory claimed 867 civilians have been killed since the offensive started on 18 February. Russia's military, by its own admission, is playing a key role supporting the assault. Russia announced Monday it was offering safe passage for rebels and their families out of eastern Ghouta, where some 400,000 people have been trapped under a relentless government campaign of shelling and airstrikes. Rebel spokesman Wael dismissed the offer on Tuesday, saying it was psychological warfare. Old said that rebels had plugged their defensive lines after they crumbled in the early days of the assault. The opposition generally rejects evacuation agreements, saying they amount to demographic engineering, a tactic through which the government forcibly displaces its opponents. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has urged all parties to abide by a 30-day ceasefire ordered by the Security Council on 24 February to allow humanitarian aid to reach civilians in desperate need.